Okay, guys. I have been checking out the Flutter plugins and the Flutter ecosystem lately. I've been on some other things, so I haven't been able to do as much Flutter, uh, when it comes to videos. But I have been able to do things like how to build a AOSP ROM for an Android device recently. So check that out if you'd like. But that's beside the point. This past week, I found out that there was a Retrofit plugin for Flutter, and coming from Android development, Retrofit is one of those tools that is part of your toolbox, and I wanted to get started on using it for Flutter and to give it a try. I haven't tried it out before. This is going to be kind of an exploration video, so we might run into some issues, so that's just a disclaimer. But what we're going to do here today is we're going to, and I'll type it up on a list here for people to see, but what we're going to do is we're going to add the Flutter Retrofit plugin to our project, define an interface for user registration, and integrate Backendless REST API with user registration. And then we're going to register some users. So Backendless is really a service that is similar to Firebase or Parse. I've recently been exploring it the past couple weeks, and I've really been impressed with its feature set. But first thing, let's add a Flutter Retrofit plugin to our project. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm in pub.dev, and we've got the Retrofit plugin definition. I'm going to go to installing, and I'm going to grab this dependency. Really though, this is probably what we really want here. So let's go to that. Let's use this. I'm inside our project. Let's go up to pubspec.html, and then we've got, let's put our dependencies like this. Okay. Tab, and then down here we've already got our dev dependencies block here. So I'm going to put it down here, and let's just do a sync. I'm hoping this plugin works with this plugin works for Flutter Web. So I am on the Flutter beta channel, and I'll just run a quick upgrade here while we're doing some other things. And so next it says define and generate your API. So let's create a file here. We're going to create a directory first. And so let's go to new directory. And there's probably a shortcut for this, but so it's packaged, and let's call it service, or we can call it, let's call it network. We could call it anything. So they call theirs REST client, so let's add a Dart file called REST client. And then we're just going to straight up copy paste this code right here. I don't really want ours to be example.g.dart. That might run. So that's okay. It looks like our sync didn't go well because we are missing some of these imports are not being found. So let's go back over to our pubspec.yaml and see if our sync ran. I'm going to run it in the command line, see if we run into an issue. Okay, so that worked. Okay, so now we've got REST client, our imports are working, and they've got a model object here called task. We will eventually turn that into probably user or registration request. So let's run these commands that they have defined here in our project. So we need to start these commands with Flutter. Okay, so it works with Dart only, so, or Dart too. So when we're in a Flutter context, we need to add the Flutter, or start this command with Flutter. And while that's running, let's go over to Backendless, and let's go over to our data section of our app, and our app is just called test. And let's go down to users, and you can see I've got some users created here. And then let's go to REST console. So Backendless is nice because as you're interacting with your data tables, they give you the URL that references these data tables. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that base URL here, or that URL, and we're going to input this piece as our base URL. So let's save that. I don't know if we need to run this again. And then, as we saw at the end of this URL, we're in data/users. So this needs to be really data/users. And then we're going to return back a user object. And it's not going to be it's going to be a singleton, or a single user, not a list of users. So let's call this register user. And I know that register user takes an actual body. It's a JSON object that it wants to take. So let's see if we can get this to take how we input a body element. Okay, so here we go. So we've got a body annotation. And what we do is we're going to actually pass it a user. And the body, you know what, let's look at this. So let's call user registration. I think I have it here. So let's go to our Backendless documentation. And we can see that to register a user, we need to use this URL, which is application ID, REST API key, which we have defined here. Here's our application ID, and here's our REST API key. And then it's user/register. So this actually needs to be users and then /register. And it's going to take not a task, but a user. And let's just run this while we're messing around. And the key fields here that we need are email and password. So the first field, let's put it here, is email, and then let's put password. I wish the refactoring was better in Flutter, in the Flutter plugin for Android Studio, but it is not. I wish it was up to par with the Android plugin. And then we don't need these fields anymore, and this should be this dot, and I should have done rename there, but this will be this dot email and this dot password. Let's run this again. Sometimes you have to clean if you muck with your models like this when you're messing with generated code. I'm not certain if we will need to. Build runner. I'm not sure if clean is a command, but let's try it. This I normally make user.g.dart and not example.g.dart. So now that we've got this defined, let's go over to our main application, and we've got all this documentation here, these comments, and so let's do Flutter run -d Chrome to see what our app looks like right now and if it'll actually deploy. So what I did there is on the command line I typed in Flutter run and then -d for device and then specified Chrome. So once this is done building, it should open up Chrome with the app running. So it opened it up over here, so I'm going to drag it over. Okay, and we've got the standard Flutter app. So really what we want to do is we want to put some fields here, and we want this button to be more like register user. So I've got a registration form over here on another app. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy the relevant fields from that app to this. So let's take these text fields and we're going to replace them with a two text form fields. And in here we need to define this, and increment counter is no longer going to set state. What we're going to do is we're actually going to figure out how to call our REST API with these values. So let's see if this updates. We should have two fields, okay, email address and enter your password. So these are the things that we need to register a user. And then this is inside a container. Our column, does our column take a, I don't like how they're all spaced out here. So maybe what we can do is we can I kind of want to limit the size of this. So can we put this in a size box? Let's just do size box. And then let's do width. And then let's just do 200. Just to get these in a little bit. And maybe 400. Okay, so there we go. And this is going to be our register button, even though it's a plus sign. So we got email address and password. And we've got our service defined over here. And these things are all squiggly and angry. I don't know if those will work. And this is all angry looking. But let's go back to our docs. And let's see what the Retrofit plugin tells us to do. So final DIO, demo header, REST client. So this is how we use it, supposedly. Let's take our logger and let's create a new logger up here. And really the crux of this is happening, and we can create a new DIO up here. We might have to import this. Yeah, so we got a Flutter. So let's add our, and then logger, I'm not sure what class logger is, but let's go over here, installing. Let's go to our postspec.yaml right over here. And of course it will not do that, not do what I want. And then let's open up I don't know if we can do a git while the app's running. Oh, we can, okay. And then logger, is logger I haven't used logger yet. No, sure, here we go. Installing. So let's take logger, let's put logger over here. Oh, we've already got logger. Look at that, well why didn't it show up over here then? We need to import, okay, we need to import. Then we need to import DIO. Let's go back to our docs. Okay, so let's take these pieces, copy. And it's always good to have good names, so I'm going to rename this to register user. Okay. Maybe import will work here? Which import do I use? I don't know. It at least knows that get task isn't a real thing, so let's do client.register user, and then let's do user, and we'll do email controller. So I'm not sure if this is going to work because something's angry here. What's it saying here? Too many positional arguments. Okay, here we go. So just so we don't have to muck with positional arguments, we can do that. And then we'll do this. We'll just take the rest of this stuff and we'll just copy. Just cut this. Okay, let's do Let's do some format with dark code. Okay, prettier. I wonder if we can just run it. Refresh this. Oh, angry. The getter scheme was called on null. Oh my goodness. Well, what does that mean? Does anyone know? See if it builds. Let's do a Flutter build web. See if we can even build a deployable zip with this. Do not check your email while live streaming. It's a little pro tip right there. So this thing is angry. Clean generated code. So why? I wonder if this needs to be REST client. It's taking its time. So this looks interesting. Warning, missing part, REST client.g.dart. So let's call this REST client.g.dart. Let's create a object or a new class for user. And let's make sure we capitalize this. Why not? Refactor, rename, and then it's going to ask you. And then we can go over here, we can make this. What in the world? Target of URI hasn't been generated. Part. Let's copy this code. Cut it actually. That's angry now. Import this. Okay, then we need to go over here. Okay, so I'm just trying to see if why our generated classes are not working correctly. Did we miss something over here? So that should be underscore task from JSON. This is part user.g. What does build runner do if I do this? Clean. Build. Got to fix up some imports here. Import. So we have our factory class, but we cannot find our generated code. Which that makes me sad. Okay, that works. This does not work. So our REST client got built. Our user.g.dart did not get built. Why? Or did it? No, it didn't. What's the difference between this definition does this need to, so that can be class task. So this can be class. Do I not need part? Let's do a clean again. And a build. I'm pretty sure I need that. So I apologize, I don't have a working example here. So what we're doing is we're doing some real-time debugging. And I'm trying to figure out why the user generated code, the generated code for the user class is not being generated. And I think once we get that, then we'll be good on the we'll be good on using this. So we are able to get REST client.g.dart. We seem to not be able to get user.g.dart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to look at the repository here and see if there's an example, and I'm going to see how their example is defined. So that's main. This is example. Looks like you can do interceptors, so that's really nice. It's a lot like OK HTTP. Add these request options. Ooh, look at that. Put some timeouts, send timeouts in there. Response timeouts. Beautiful. So it looks like they don't define their model class here unless it's somewhere down here. So let's go over to this example. Where is my user.dart? What am I missing here? Is it because it's not abstract? Why don't I have a user.dart? Let's see how it's defined over here. Do they have their task class here? Yeah, so they have it here. Does this have their task object? Yeah, and this has their task objects here. User from JSON, same class. User to JSON. String dynamic. String dynamic. Why is the generated code not working? Is there anything else that needs to be defined up here? No? Let's give it a try. Why not? So if we do JSON serializable, that is the other package. Let's see if there's something in the README for this that we can maybe leverage. So that is part example dot, and this is annotation. So builds the corresponding. So we've got a factory class, user from JSON, map string dynamic. Ah. I bet it's this, dude. I bet we actually do need these positional arguments. So that's okay. Then I can do this. And then password. Okay, so beautiful. So now I bet if we do a clean and a build, we'll get our user class. That's the only thing I can see is the removal of positional arguments to using named arguments. then once we finish that, we should be able to give this a run. No, still don't like me. This.email.password. Does this need to be final? Do these have to be final, or does it get angry if they're not? This is underscore user from JSON, takes JSON. Isn't this the pits? Task. There's nothing different here, except one does not work. Email, password. These are the same fields. I wonder if, I bet this tool relies on these methods too, so I don't think I can manually define the mapping. I wonder if I can paste in a body, but I don't think that would work, like just plain text. So why does this not like me? That looks like it's defined clearly. So let's just do this. Let's rename this to email. And let's rename this to, if we can, the user. Does that rename these? No, it does not. And then let's do a clean. Hopefully we'll get on our way soon. So if we get lucky, we'll see a user.g.dart. Okay, so we got an exception there. You must provide, okay, well, that's the same thing we had earlier. So we can easily do it to JSON here and make this task. Oh, user. Come on, baby. Did we get any luck? I don't think we did. I can try to reload this, see if there's a user.g. There's not. Try opening the generator. So before I made this, it was trying to generate this code. So you can see it's trying to. The question is, where is it going? There's not a user.g. I wonder if I can rename this and build. Still nothing. Generated code is not being generated. So I'm going to just straight up copy this. All this code. Just copy the example. See if the example works. Did the example work? The example did not work. The example doesn't even work. This is a stumper right here. What if I clean it? Do I need to clean this guy? We're on 32 minutes now to do a simple registration page, getting caught up on the generated library. Sorry for the delay. Feel free to skip forward whenever you, hopefully there will be a resolution soon. It's still not generating it. So if I do reload from disk, which is not annotated, I don't see any person dot. Do a clean, let's do a build, and this code has been straight up copied from the actual installation instructions. Maybe there's a debug mode for this command, or a verbose output. Let me try that next. Did it make it? Did it? Do we have anything? No, we don't. Build runner. Build -- v. dash v. Generating build skip. Build dash v. So far the output looks the same. I'm looking for anything that has to do with, okay, retrofit on lib generator person.dart. So what I'm going to do is, since I know that it's generating for REST client, I'm going to put this so now it fails to generate even the factor rename. Oh, this import's bad, so I need to remove this import. Hopefully we'll get this figured out. Do we have anything in here related to, we don't have a dang thing about our actual model, which is a user. So then what we're going to do, because we've spent a good amount of time mucking with it this way, we're going to look at issues. We're going to look in the close, see if there's anything. Adding a body with a file generates incorrectly. That's not exactly what we're looking for. So it doesn't work with Flutter Web. Oh, that was a course exception. Here we go, fail to generate. Let's do this, Flutter 12 upgrade. Still no. Wait. So it has that, but it didn't generate the actual code for this. Meh. please upgrade your retrofit and generator to latest one. So maybe there's an issue with the generator. Code, retrofit generator. Let me do an earlier version. So we were just here. But let's see what because their latest release has failed. So let's find let's find a previous release. Maybe 1.3.4.1. Okay, well let's try 1.3.4. We were going full speed until we hit the generated code, and then things have fallen apart. So this is quite a bummer, if you ask me. Big time. We're at 42 minutes now, and we do not have a working registration. It's not fun. Do we have a user yet? No, we don't. Don't have any user-generated code. Why is that? You know what? I'm going to use a hard-coded generator version. So or build runner. When was 1.10 released? May 11th? Whoa. These are the releases? I wonder if a part needs to be specified for the user too. What happens if you do? Can there only be one part? Can this exist? Okay, so it's a directive. Still don't have that. And if we make it its own class, we don't have that either, or its own class and file. So if I break this out, it doesn't get any better. So So my first foray into this retrofit is a little bit of a bummer. There's another library called Chopper, which might be better for us if it works. Let's check out their example. So theirs works on web, it looks like. Jaguar serialize. Maybe we'll do this. Let's try this. Let's try Chopper. Since I'm obviously having some struggles with this, let's try Chopper instead. So let's go over here, and I'll update the title to the getting started. To define a client, use the Chopper API annotation on a class that extends Chopper service. Chopper API. Yourfile.dart. So let's copy some of this over. So we can just make this users. Base URL. Part. So this can actually still be REST client. Do we need to define it here? Does this need to be registered? So this is even worse. This is not generating anything. Pubspec.yaml looks okay. Build runner. Do we need chopper generator? We need build runner.1.0. We need that. Logger. We didn't get anything generated here. Why? I don't know. I don't know why this is failing here. Maybe this needs to be user service. Sorry, I'll be right back. Okay. So one more time. The only other thing I can think is maybe these only run on the stable channel, and I'm on the beta channel, but we're not even getting the any files generated at all now. You can see it being run on user.dart, and warning, missing part user service.chartpro.dart. So we can see it's run here. It says fine. User service, widget test, chopper generator, missing part user service.chopper.dart. Okay, so this needs to be .chopper.dart. So we got user service.chopper.dart, and it looks like we've got this generated correctly. For the life of me, I cannot understand why I can't get user generated. And then it looks like there's another thing that we need to do here for converters. Converters are to request a response body. So JSON converter, looks like there's a standard JSON converter. Why is user? And then let's remove this definition here. I cannot figure out why we cannot get the user file generated. Try running the generator. Watch. So maybe if I just do watch -v, we can get some additional details. So what if I rename this to email? See what it says. Okay, so I was being dumb. I was being really dumb. So here is why it wasn't working. We need a generator for JSON serializable, I'm pretty sure. So that is, yeah. So that's why. So all that headache could be removed by just doing this. So we didn't have a generator for that annotation. So now that we do, and we could probably go back to our retrofit implementation now. Now we can get, but we're on Chopper, so let's give Chopper a try first. But now what we should see is we can also remove date of birth, and we can make this password. And because we have a watcher going on, I think we should see it built now. So that's the problem. The problem is we need a distinct generator for each annotation. And so now that we've got our JSON serializable code generator defined, we can now have that class generated, which means now we can get into using our Chopper client. So let's go up here, and now we're moving. This will be user service. User service. We'll import this. We'll import our user service. And then retrieve your service. So let's retrieve it. I do like the retrofit interface a little bit more. So to do service, this is going to be register user. And now we can see our file is generated up there. And this takes, and we're going to do email controller.text, password controller.text. And now we need to make this async, and we need to insert a, you know what, let's format this. And it should come down here. Nope, it didn't. So that's because it had this syntax exception. And it has something else here. So let's do it now. And it wasn't even formatting that, so this will say 5 files. So there we go. So now let's do our our run-d. Sorry about that. Yeah, you guys are watching. Okay, so something happened. Instance, invalid argument body, instance of user. Okay, so body equals user. So how do we actually use converters? So I feel like we need to do this. We need to add a converter. Darren and Darren.com. ASDF is okay. So create error with stack. What's the issue now? Get current. So let's see what's happening here. No, I didn't want to do that. I want to do more tools, developer tools, console. Error name not resolved. You know why? Because my server dot this 8000 is not a real thing. So we need to go over here. We need to get this URL. Error uncaught instance. So this is not found. Okay. So we are slowly making it. Where are our... So it's users / registers. It says it can't find this. It says it's a 404. Which that doesn't make sense, because if I copy this right here, I get this. What if I do user / register? Entity with ID register not found. So because this, I'm not certain that for final classes modifying the parameters will rebuild that final class. So let's, oh, and it had Dart compiler exited unexpectedly. Well, that's maybe because I killed it. So let's do a Darren at Darren.com. Any luck here? Let's go to console. Fail to load the resource. HTTPS. That's the oh. You know what? We need to post. Client.base URL. Users, and this needs to be a, and I was just modifying generated code, which you don't want to do. So we got to regenerate this, and then let's build it. I still think I prefer Retrofit, but we are using the DIO, or no, we're using the Chopper client right now, trying to get it to work. I'm doing everything I can to take as long as possible. Not really, but that's what it feels like. Oh, and you guys couldn't see me logging in because it was on the other screen, so I apologize. Failed to compile application. So what is wrong here? This needs to be post. Let's generate our stuff. This. Okay, so things are looking better now. Nope. Hopefully that didn't destroy anything. Okay, so let me get my window over here so you guys can see what's actually happening. So let's open up the developer tools, which is, let's do Darren at darren.com. Save. Okay. Did anything happen? So the first time it worked. So if we go over to our users table, we should see someone that says, so we go to the data browser, we should see Darren at darren.com. And so now if we do Darren at darren2.com, we can see that our registration is actually working. And so this is an example using the Chopper service. The Chopper plugin. I kind of like that it has the base URL definition in the client when you instantiate it. So if we go over here, so we've got our JSON converter. And so if we do Darren3, we should see another user show up in our users table. And then the next thing we can do is we can add a login service under, or users login. So let's do that. Let's do user login. And let's also print the body. User register body is, and let's do this. Body. And I know we can do it a cleaner way, but and let's do register at test.com. Register at test.com. Expected a value of string, but got one of JSON map. So there's obviously something we could have fixed here. Okay, because the body is probably coming back as a JSON map instead of string. Let's see what the, okay, so this response definition, we probably need some kind of converter in Chopper service. So we do have JSON. So this needs to be response and probably user. So we probably post a user and we probably get a user back. So let's fix this. Let's clean our generated code up, and let's run our code generator. I'd also like to say, if you're not using Flutter Web, then Backendless has a Flutter plugin, and you can just use the plugin to do these if you're just working with mobile platforms. But since many times there's a requirement to do a web component, and Flutter Web is making some gains there, you need to use the REST client to do that, to support registration and login and other features in Backendless. And so that's why we're using this instead of the Backendless plugin. So if we go to pub.dev, we can see that Backendless actually has a, so something's angry here. Oh, it's because this needs to be email. Hopefully it doesn't send us the password back, but we'll see. So if we go here, we can search Backendless, and we can see they actually have a Flutter SDK, which does all these things. And it will work for Android and iOS. So let's try this now, and let's internet testregister.com. I don't know what it gave us back, so let's go to console. Error, expected value type, got one of response dynamic. So we need to figure out how to parse the responses somehow. Maybe over here. So I bet we get something like this back. And does anyone use this? No one uses this. Does anyone use 2JSON? No one uses that. So we need to basically hook up some support in our Chopper client to convert or specify the converter. If content type, the converter won't add. So maybe there is a JSON serializable example here. So let's try this. Import, package, Chopper example. Okay. JSON serializable converter. Okay. Ugh. I think I'm going to go back to Retrofit now that I've got this working. Okay, so let's go back to Retrofit. So let's go to Retrofit. Let's hook this up. Retrofit generator. Let's replace our Chopper generator. Let's get back on Retrofit. Let's get a new line here. And then let's just do this. Let's do our service definition again. There's this call REST client. We'll just do that. We'll call it REST client. We'll rename this to REST client again. We'll rename this back to REST client. Okay, do refactor. And then let's go back to main. Let's grab our base URL here. So we're going to expand this a little bit. Here we go. So base URL. Okay, we got all of these kind of, and then this will be users.register. This is going to be a post. Remember that. Post. It's like that. Did our pub get work? If it did, then where are our types? Maybe it isn't. Register user, and this is going to take a body, user. We're going to return a user, single user. Cannot find declaration. Okay, this is going to be a capital T. Clean. Okay, and then let's go back to this. Let's grab this guy. Okay, so we need to import this, and this needs to be, should it be body? Does this need to be, yeah, okay. How do we do body here again? I forgot. Body. Okay, so this is the annotation for body. Let's rebuild this. Terminals froze. Okay, actually my entire let's restart this. Okay, so let's see if we can build this again. Let's see why this thing's angry. Probably import, yep. Okay, so we've got all our generated files. Let's do -d. Let's get this thing running in Chrome. Let's go back to our Backendless console. Where's our test project? Here it is. Let's close. Okay, it looks like it worked. Instance of users, okay, so some fancy. Did we get Darren at register.com? Did we get this weird thing? Let's see if it pops up. Yeah, we did. And look at this fancy logger. Instance of user. So let's see if we can output the, let's put a breakpoint here. See what we got. So let's do this. And then let's do this. Just so we can easily get a breakpoint. Let's build this. No connected devices. Well, what about now? I want to see the object that we got back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this code to repository so that you all can watch it. And we're at about 1 hour and 23 minutes now. Which is way longer than I thought it would take. And it popped up a new window. So let's do Darren at. So it did it there. I'm not sure if we get access to it. If I press play. No. So we could print it though. Probably we could print from .json because it's a user object, so we could do to JSON, or we could print the elements of it. But so that's it. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload that. That took a little bit longer than I thought it would take. So we're going to initialize this, and we're going to get add git commit getting Flutter web working with Retrofit and Backendless REST API. And then let's add this repository. Boom. What? Why doesn't it use the key? Oh, dang it. Why is it on? Okay, there we go. So it's all up there. Thank you for the ride. We were able to figure out a little bit more how generated code plugins or code generators work in Flutter. We were able to get the Chopper plugin working. We were able to get the Retrofit plugin working, and we were able to register users on our Backendless app using the REST API with Flutter Web. So covered a lot of things there. Wasn't a straight path. Learned a couple things. Stumbled a few times, but overall, that's how it goes. And what I'll do is I'll put a link to this in the video, and please there's anything else you'd like to see with Backendless or Flutter Web or Flutter, let me know and I'll see if I can do a video. Thank you so much. Bye.